Some of you walked in this room today carrying the weight of missed opportunities, broken dreams, and silent battles. I came to tell you, you are now here by accident. God didn't create you just to exist. He created you to excel. There is a seed, a gift, a treasure buried deep inside of you that the world has not yet seen. And until you tap into it, until you unlock it, you'll never know the full measure of who you were called to be. So today, we're not talking about survival. We're talking about stepping into destiny and why. We're not talking about fitting in. We're talking about bar ekai oyut. Because when you unlock your God-given potential, you don't just change your life, you shift everything and everyone connected to you. Somebody shout, unlocking it today. Every person on this earth was created with something extraordinary on the inside. You are not a mistake, you are not an accident, and you are not just one more number in the crowd. When God formed you, He placed within you a unique deposit, something that no one else can replicate. It is your fingerprint on the earth, your divine contribution, your God-given potential. But the challenge many of us face is that we live our lives unaware of what has been placed inside of us. We look at others and envy their gifts, their talents, their accomplishments, not realizing that God has placed within us something just as powerful, something just as necessary, something just as valuable. To recognize the divine deposit within you, you must first shift your perspective. Stop seeing yourself as ordinary. Stop rehearsing the lies that have been spoken over you. You're not enough. You'll never make it. You don't have what it takes. Those are voices designed to keep you blind to your potential. When you recognize what God has placed in you, you no longer measure yourself by human standards. You start to see yourself through the lens of divine design. You realize that your gifts may look different. They are no less significant. A seed may look small, but within that seed lies the potential of a forest. Too many of us live below our calling because we don't believe there is anything special in us. We hide, we shrink back, we minimize ourselves, yet every time you feel that pull in your heart, that dream that won't die, that desire to do more, that is the divine deposit trying to remind you of who you are. Recognition starts with acceptance. You must accept that you were created with purpose. You must accept that you carry something the world needs. You must accept that God placed greatness inside you long before anyone doubted you, rejected you, or misunderstood you. When you truly recognize the divine deposit, you stop waiting for permission from others. You stop seeking validation from people who don't understand what God placed inside you. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. You rise up with the confidence that even if no one else sees it yet, it is still there. The treasure is still within you, and when you embrace that truth, your life begins to shift, because recognition is the first step to unlocking. Many people never step into their full potential because they are chained by invisible barriers in the mind. Limiting beliefs whisper lies that sound like truth. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the resources. Come from the wrong background. I've made too many mistakes. These thoughts act like prison walls, keeping you confined when God has called you to be free. You were not created to live small, but when you accept these lies, you shrink yourself to fit them. The truth is, the greatest battles you will ever face are not external, they are internal. What you believe about yourself determines how far you will go, and until you confront those beliefs, you will always sabotage the future God has already prepared for you. Breaking free begins with identifying the patterns in your thinking. So often, people repeat cycles not because of what others did to them, but because of the story they keep telling themselves. If you tell yourself you're not qualified, you won't even attempt to apply for opportunities. If you believe you're destined to fail, you won't give your best effort, and failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. These mental barriers are more dangerous than physical ones because you can carry them everywhere you go. They follow you from job to job, from relationship to relationship, from season to season. You can relocate to a new place. If your mind doesn't shift, the outcome will remain the same. The power to break free comes from renewing the mind. You cannot replace a limiting belief with empty words. You must root it out with truth. The truth that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The truth that your past does not define your future. The truth that your limitations are not permanent when God is involved. As long as you cling to excuses, you'll remain stuck. But when you replace those excuses with faith, you open the door to possibility. Each time you take a step in defiance of fear, you weaken the grip of the lie. Each time you dare to try, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the thought that tried to hold you captive. The most dangerous thing about limiting beliefs is that they disguise themselves as protection. Your mind tells you to play it safe so you won't get hurt again, so you won't fail again, so you won't be rejected again. But safety and stagnation often walk hand in hand. You cannot unlock potential without risk. You cannot discover what God has placed inside of you while living behind walls of fear. Breaking free means being willing to fail forward, to learn, to grow, and to stretch beyond comfort. It means refusing to let the voice of doubt drown out the voice of destiny. When you break free from limiting beliefs and mindsets, you release yourself into the freedom to become everything you were meant to be. Purpose is not something you invent. It is something you discover. From the very beginning, before you were even formed, God had a plan for your life. He did not create you randomly, and He did not place you on this earth without direction. Your purpose is tied to His plan, and when you begin to align your life with that plan, everything starts to make sense. Too often, people spend years chasing after goals that leave them empty, climbing ladders that lean against the wrong walls, only to discover that success without alignment is still failure. True fulfillment comes not from doing what everyone else is doing, from walking in the path that God has uniquely designed for you. Alignment requires listening. You cannot discover God's plan while drowning in noise and distraction. You must be willing to quiet yourself long enough to hear the whispers of destiny. Sometimes His plan reveals itself through passion, sometimes through pain, sometimes through open doors, and sometimes through closed ones. The moments you thought were setbacks may have been divine redirections. The disappointments that hurt the most may have been steering you away from what was never meant for you. Alignment is about trusting that God sees the full picture while you only see fragments. When you surrender your will for His will, you begin to step into the flow of grace that carries you where striving never could. Living aligned with God's plan also requires obedience. It is one thing to recognize the direction, it is another to follow it. Obedience often calls you to move when you feel unprepared, to step out when it doesn't make sense, to take risks that others might question. Yet every step of obedience becomes a key that unlocks more of your potential. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the next step. The challenge is that obedience will often take you out of comfort zones, and alignment cannot exist where comfort rules. You cannot hold on to your own plan and expect God's plan to unfold. Something must be released for something greater to be received. When your purpose aligns with God's plan, your life begins to impact more than just you. Alignment produces influence, and influence changes lives. You stop living only for survival or personal gain and start living as a vessel for something bigger. Your gifts begin to serve others. Your story inspires those who are struggling, and your presence becomes a light in dark places. That is the power of alignment. It multiplies what you have because it connects it to eternity. Fulfillment is not found in chasing every opportunity. It is found in following the right assignment. The moment you align your purpose with God's plan, you unlock doors that no man can shut and position yourself to live in the fullness of who you were always meant to be. No one grows in comfort. Every great story of transformation is written in the ink of struggle. Trials are not designed to break you. They are designed to build you. Challenges are not punishments. They are platforms for growth. The moments you thought would crush you were actually shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Just as gold is refined in fire and diamonds are formed under pressure, your potential is unlocked through the very things you thought would destroy you. Growth does not happen when everything is easy. Growth happens when you keep standing even when everything in you wants to quit. Embracing growth through trials requires a shift in how you view difficulty. Instead of asking, why me? Begin to ask, what is this teaching me? Every hardship carries a lesson, and every setback contains a seed of progress. When you begin to see your trials as training, you no longer waste energy resenting them. The betrayal that broke your heart may have been necessary to teach you discernment. The loss that shook your faith may have deepened your dependence on God. The delay that frustrated you may have been preparation for something greater. What you once saw as obstacles begin to look like opportunities when you recognize their purpose in your development. Strength of character is not forged in success, but in struggle. Anyone can celebrate when life is easy, but it takes faith to worship when life hurts. It takes resilience to keep moving when the path is unclear. It takes courage to believe when everything around you says, quit. These trials train your spirit to endure and prepare you for greater responsibilities. Without endurance, success would crush you. Without wisdom, blessings would overwhelm you. Without patience, opportunities would be wasted. That is why trials precede triumph. They equip you for what lies ahead. Embracing growth means you stop running from the fire and allow it to refine you. It means you stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a student. Every challenge becomes a classroom, every pain a teacher, every difficulty a tool for transformation. The truth is, God never wastes pain. What you survive becomes part of your strength, and what you learn becomes part of your wisdom. When you embrace growth through trials and challenges, you not only unlock deeper layers of your potential, but also discover a resilience that can carry you through any season. The very storms that once terrified you become proof that you can withstand anything, and with every victory, your confidence in who you are and in who God is grows stronger. The gifts you carry were never meant to stay hidden inside of you. They were placed within you to serve a purpose beyond yourself. Potential that remains dormant benefits no one, but when you activate your gifts, you become a channel of impact. Every ability, every talent, every idea that God has given you is a tool meant to make a difference in the lives of others. You were not created to live only for personal gain. You were created to release what has been entrusted to you so that others can be blessed. When you use your gifts, you step into the flow of giving, and giving always produces multiplication. Activating your gifts begins with courage. Too many people sit on what they have because of fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But gifts only grow when they are exercised. Just as a muscle gets stronger with use, your abilities increase when you put them into practice. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will wait forever. Activation happens when you take small steps, when you decide to try, when you move even in uncertainty. Each act of courage unlocks more confidence, and each effort produces growth. The more you pour out, the more you discover that there is more inside of you than you ever imagined. The true measure of your potential is not in what you achieve for yourself, but in the lives you touch. Your words may inspire someone who was ready to give up. Your skills may open doors for someone who had no opportunities. Your presence may bring hope to someone walking through darkness. What you carry has the power to shift atmospheres, to spark change, to leave a lasting mark long after you are gone. That is the beauty of activating your gifts. You extend your influence beyond your own life and into the lives of countless others. Impact is not about doing something grand in the eyes of the world. It is about being faithful with what you have. Simple act of kindness, a word of encouragement, a talent used with excellence, all of these create ripples of change. When you withhold your gifts, the world is robbed of something it needs. But when you activate them, you align with divine purpose and release solutions, healing, and inspiration that others have been waiting for. You may never fully know how far your impact reaches, but you can be certain of this: when you activate your gifts to impact others, you fulfill a part of your calling that cannot be accomplished any other way. Your potential becomes a legacy, and your life becomes a testimony of what happens when someone dares to release what God placed inside.